Welcome to the Y Connect podcast. As the heartbeat of the community, the Y is a connector where people of all ages and walks of life come together to elevate their health, wellness, education, and essential life skills. Hear the stories of impact and join the authentic conversations where together we'll discover the journeys and pathways people take to connect through the Y. Now your hosts, Zarina, Robert, and Allison.
Hi, you guys.
Great day.
Hello. Great day. How's it going today?
All is well. All is well. So it's a bright day at the Y.
Yes, indeed. Summer is in full force. I don't know if you guys saw that email that Kim Nelson sent out this morning about summer camp and what so many of our Ys are doing across the city, that a lot of times for families in Atlanta, we are their summer experience. We are perhaps their field trip, their Disney. And it's exciting.
It is.
It is. Happy to be a part of it.
It's always great to see these bright, smiling faces the first thing as soon as you come in the morning. It's nothing but bright smiles and bright eyes every morning.
Well, our guest today, I tell you what, she is just what I call one of the most positive people that we have at the Y. And she has been with our Y for 30 plus years. She's our Chief Experience Officer, and we are going to talk to her today about the member experience. So let me introduce Kristin McEwen, our Chief Experience Officer. She leads the day-to-day operations for the Atlanta Y, a strategic direction for membership, program initiatives for health and wellness, and program services. Kristin's been a catalyst for positive change within the Y for more than 3 decades. Her career began as the Bainbridge Y Operations Director in 1989, and during her 30-plus years with the Y, served in leadership positions in health and wellness at the J.M. Tull Gwinnett Family Y, operations at the Robert D. Fowler Family Y, and executive leadership at the Cowart and Sanders Family Ys. Kristen has an established, impactful strategic partnership approach with community organizations. She developed the Winship at the Y Cancer Survivor Program with Emory, the Parkinsons Movement Classes, Shepherd Center Head and Injury Program, and CareSource and Peach State partnerships for Ys across the state of Georgia. Kristen lives in Peachtree Corners with her husband, Scott. And they have 2 daughters, Lacey and Mallory, and I think 3 grandchildren. They all have grown up in the Y. She holds a Bachelor of Education from the University of Alabama, and Kristen loves spending time with her family and friends, college football, and being physically active. Welcome, Kristen.
Nice. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, everybody.
I didn't know about your Listen, I didn't know about your background in education. We'd have to get you downstairs.
Oh, yeah.
I know who to call now.
I would love that. That's right. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for being here.
We are honored.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, we are honored.
It's truly a pleasure. It's truly a pleasure. I'm going to kick things off, Kristen, and to get our conversation started, let's begin with the significance of your title. As the Chief Experience Officer of the Y Association, which serves more than 150,000 people at 19 Ys health and wellness facilities throughout Metro Atlanta. Tell us about your role and the extraordinary work you do.
Oh, gosh. So to the rest of you, I apologize, but I think I have the best job in the YMCA. And I really do. I mean, to get to focus on the experience and how people experience the Y and how the Y makes you feel when you come to a program, take a class, volunteer, engage with us in any manner is really a privilege. And the Chief Experience Officer, one, has to make sure the doors open and close every day. But it's the magic behind those doors, and then how we actually serve the community outside of our walls that also is intentional in my role. And so, you think about when you go somewhere, and moments matter, right? Every moment matters. But those moments build experiences. And so you start to have these experiences with the Y. And maybe, again, it's through your child's youth soccer program, could be in day camp because we're full all in on summer right now. But those experiences then build core memories for you. And it's really important that we take every aspect of how people encounter us and think about the experience they're having. And it's just in how they're greeted, how we answer our phone calls, emails we send out, how we communicate, and then, of course, all of the programs and the engagement they have there. So I, again, have the honor and privilege of serving in this role, and it's the best job in the association.
Well, and I can attest to how hard Kristen works. Guys, I'm next door to her, so she's on the other side of the house from me. And Kristen is approaching every situation about how we can serve the community better, stronger. She's a massive problem solver. You solve 1 million problems in each day that you work, Kristen. It's astounding.
My goodness. Wow. So, Kristen, when it comes to the Y membership experience, can you describe for us some of the specific experiences you and our branch leaders have been cultivating and creating for Y members for the past couple of years?
Oh, I'd love to. Thank you for the opportunity. I love to speak about the how we're building on the experiences and the value proposition for our members. But the pandemic allowed us a lot of opportunity to kind of step back and look at what we were offering. And we went in full-fledged with a virtual platform, which a lot of folks did. And our virtual platform, although it's called YMCA 360, and it does have group exercise classes on it, but we also here in Metro Atlanta have added safety around water curriculum. We have STEAM labs, STEM labs. We have a session that we did with the Atlanta Zoo and how to take care of your pet and just fun games and activities. We have healthy cooking on there. So our virtual platform is really kind of a full wraparound experience in and of itself that we offer to our Y members. We have a loyalty program for our Y members that is unique. In the first year of your membership, we send you loyalty rewards just so you can have the opportunity to take other classes, other experiences, get your children involved in whatever program you might like to experience. We also have, added some additional partnerships, which I know, Allison, thank you for lifting some of those very important and near and dear partnerships to me up. But we've added other partnerships, and we partner with all of the major sports teams here, and our members actually get discounted tickets if they'd like to. We have fan experiences that we work with the Hawks and Atlanta United. And there's so many intentional things that we continue to do because a membership at the Y has its privileges. I don't know if I'm able to use that tagline, but it does. And that's right, Robert. It does. But we also have what's called nationwide membership. So you are a member of the Metro Atlanta Y, but you're a member of all Ys across the country. Right. So as you travel, go see family, you can use the Ys in those areas, and they welcome you in just like we do here.
Wow. I love that. And, you're so in touch with our members on a day-to-day basis. We have something that's called Listen 360, which is a quick way of us gauging how members are doing on a day-to-day basis. But you went deeper this year and launched a large-scale membership survey asking individuals and families to give us feedback on how we're doing. Could you share some of the key takeaways and what we heard from members?
I'd love to. Yes, and thank you for lifting that up. Every day we get feedback from our members through Listen 360, and it really is it's the voice of the customer. It gives us an opportunity to make some minor adjustments, maybe in a class time or offer more classes in group exercise, change our swim time. But this membership survey is a foundational starting place as we try to understand if our members feel like they belong and that they're a part of the Y community and the community overall. And so it's a unique approach that we've done to this survey, but I am so honored to share with you some of the results and what we've heard. 10% of our members actually took this survey, which is significant and really allows us to act on this for the association. 94% of the individuals that responded said that they feel a sense of belonging. 93% says the Y strengthens their community. And then 93% also say the Y is a place where all abilities, lifestyles, and cultures are valued. That's a great place to start. But then I kind of look at that and I look at the numbers, I have them here. I'm like, okay, where do we go from there? I mean, we need to maintain for sure, but where are opportunities that we can fine tune? And we had so many people provide so much input and valuable, thoughtful comments about their experience and how we can make it better. So to all the folks out there that filled it out, thank you. We heard you and we are working on it. We actually just held a session earlier this week with all of our branch leaders to look at their branch specific results. And we actually developed action plans for each of the branches. So more is coming and we're excited with the opportunities. We also, from the survey, a couple of other nuggets that we learned is our peak times that have typically been early in the morning and then in the evening have changed a little. But that makes sense because we have the folks that are now working from home have a little more flexibility in their day in terms of when they can take time out to just take a break for themselves and do some just some self-care. If it's exercising, if it's swimming, if it's coming to the Y just to meet with their friends, have a cup of coffee, and that's 10 to 2. So when we look at that, we say, do we have group exercise classes during that time? Is our play center open? What are other activities are we offering? And how can we ensure that we're offering great opportunities to those folks that have now changed their work schedule a little bit?
That's great.
Wow.
Great.
It really is. It really is. The intentionality behind the work that you encourage us to do and the impact that you are always encouraging us to have and make towards our members. We can see it from you. It really just it's contagious. It's truly contagious. As you reflect on your 30 years with the Y and the variety of leadership roles that you've held, please tell us a little about your experiences or stories with people and who you've impacted along the way.
You know, everybody's impacted me in such a positive way. Again, I tell you, this job blesses me every day. There are 2 important days in your life, the day you're born and the day you realize why you were born. And and this role allows me to use my skill sets. But so many individuals have inspired and impacted me. And, you know, if I can be a role model or impact others, I'm thrilled for that. But I really get so much more, I feel like, than I give. I give 110% every day. But the individuals that come into our Ys and our programs are so strong. They're so brave. They're so amazing. And I of course, I've been with the Y for 3 decades. I started when I was 10, in case anybody's wondering.
Wow.
Exactly.
These wrinkles aren't real. But I look back, I actually had a call yesterday with a CEO of another Y, and I was sharing with him my Bainbridge days. And I was sharing him a funny story that I'll share here because we're in Georgia, even though I went to the University of Alabama. Roll Tide.
That had to come out today. I knew that was coming.
So when I was a very young assistant director at the Bainbridge Y, I was running a basketball program, youth basketball program. And every morning before basketball started, before I opened the doors to the Y, I had 2 young men that were waiting at the door to run the clocks for all of the basketball. They played in the last game at the end of the day. And so they would run the clocks for me every day. They were the 2 best volunteers. They were 12. And one of them was Kirby Smart, the UGA football coach.
Really?
Oh,
He and his family grew up in Bainbridge, yes.
Okay. That's great.
But that's really, isn't that just it's kind of a neat story? And I think what amazing parents he had to make sure that he got to that Y every Saturday morning before I could open the doors so he could run the clocks. But then I think back on some of these other stories. Susie and Tracy lived in the Atlanta group home, and we had a partnership with them at the Buckhead YMCA. And so we had about 10 of those individuals, and the Atlanta group home serves people with diverse abilities. And Susie and Tracy both had Down syndrome, and they needed to exercise. And so we introduced them to the Zumba class. And at first they started off in the back and the class was packed, but the way the members embraced them and their energy and the way they showed up every day, they actually became honorary class instructors, group exercise instructors. They came 5 days a week, and they were the energy and the heart and soul of the Zumba class. And, you know, being able to make them feel so important in that way and so valued, and the members did that. One more quick story. There was a young woman that I met, beautiful young woman, who, when I met her, she was in a wheelchair. She had moved back from New York to live with her mother because while she was in New York, she was a young professional and a very great job. She was hit by a bus on the streets of New York, and they didn't think she would live. She had a lot of head injuries, and she was learning how to do her speech and just how to live with these challenges, right? She was at Shepherd's. Right. So she came to us in a wheelchair, and we introduced her to one of our swim instructors who they just hit it off. And within a year, this young woman was walking and talking. She actually did the kickoff for our annual campaign to all of our volunteers. And she was so inspiring. And so other individuals that came from the Shepherd's program that would come to our Y, she would spend time with and tell them that, you know, that they're going to get better. She was such an inspiration. But again, I've been so impacted and blessed. Thank you for letting me share a couple of those stories.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I have to admit, Kristen has been such a producer behind the scenes of this podcast. She gives me great ideas all the time about, hey, you need to connect with this member over here at this Y because they have an amazing story. Do you all remember when we interviewed Desiree from the Fowler Y and how much
I was thinking about that.
Kristen? Yes.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah, we appreciate you so much.
Well, it's again, it's just so fun when you just take the time and you say, hey, tell me your Y story. And then somebody starts going into their Y story and you're just like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. So I do. I'm like, Allison, you need to talk to this person. You need to talk to this person.
Right.
We all have stories, and we all have Y stories, and they're all important. And sometimes we just need to encourage people to lift those up.
Yes. I so appreciate that.
Yep, Kristen, thank you so much for sharing your stories of impact. Now, what about people who might have had a Y experience growing up? Maybe it was learning how to swim at the Y, attending summer camp, playing youth sports, or something else. Now, What do you want listeners to know who might be interested in getting involved with the Y today?
The Y is, gosh, it's changed since you were last there. If you learned to swim there, if you were in our Indian Guides, which is now a new program, if you learned to play soccer, it's not the same Y. We have committed to staying relevant. Our group exercise classes are amazing. Our facilities are amazing. We have state-of-the-art equipment for people that are interested in health and wellness. We have programs that support mental health. We pour into our youth programming. So the experiences you may have had growing up as a child at the Y, your children can have, your grandchildren can have. We have a lot of, as I mentioned, we have partnerships to really help engage you in the community as well. We have volunteer opportunities that help you give back if you don't have that opportunity. We have educational classes. I mean, it's just not the same Y, and I'm glad it's not. And you know what? If you ask me that question in 2 years, I'm going to say, it's not the same Y. It's better.
I love that.
Well, you spoke earlier about some of the strategic partnerships. I'd love it if you could share a little bit more around the work that you've done, bringing some of these health and wellness organizations to the forefront at the Y and how we've worked together.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Those are some of my children, right? So when we really started engaging in the health and wellness space, which we've been in for a long time, but the Metro Atlanta Y made a decision to change the way people experience health and wellness for the first time. So we have people that are, trying to be fit, yet to be fit, want to be fit. They've really stopped and started some kind of health and wellness routine. And years ago, we did a lot of research, and we created a program called the Coach Approach, which takes research and puts it into practice. So when anyone comes into the Y, you get to meet with a wellness coach. That's a part of your membership. And that wellness coach takes you on a journey. And it's your journey. It's not anybody else's journey. You identify barriers you might have, some obstacles to coming in, some of your fears about working out, having other people watch you, or trying a new class for the first time. They are your partner. Right. And Robert, you know this because you're trained in Coach Approach. They are your partner, and they are there to meet with you, and they strategize with you, and they get you to the next step. And so having this foundational program really allowed me the opportunity to speak with Winship at the Y and say, you know what, we're different than others. We don't want to rent equipment. We want to change lives. So when Winship and I started talking about an opportunity to have a program for their cancer survivors, they trained all of our wellness coaches on just what to look for when somebody's going through chemo or radiation, and how to help them along with an exercise routine. And so that made a huge difference. When we, and that's not just for people going through Winship, it's for any cancer survivor. Then then when we went to Shepherds, because we know that there are, when you graduate from Shepherds, where do you go that you can continue that care and be actually, handed off to somebody that knows how to care for you and help you continue to get better. As I shared with you, the Melissa story, with Shepherds, all of their therapists came in and trained all of our wellness coaches on the equipment that spinal cord and head injury individuals can use. And then we purchased attachments to a lot of our equipment so that we could even make it more accessible. So again, it's not just for an individual that graduates from Shepherds or moves on. It's for anyone in the community. One of the ones that when I talk about, I get a little teary, but I'm not going to do that today because I have interviews later. So is our Parkinson's program. I had a husband and wife come to speak to me one day, and he had Parkinson's, and he was a very well-known attorney, but he had Parkinson's, and he said there's just nothing out there. My wife and I are starting a foundation, and we just want to know how we can work with the Y. And I'm like, tell me more. And as we talked, I was like, I just feel there's so much traction we can get, and learning how many individuals at the time were experiencing Parkinson's and the difference movement can make for a Parkinson's individual. So we started the Parkinson's program with the PD Gladiators, and we have movement classes in all of our Ys. It's such an impactful program for so many reasons. One, the individual themselves. So an example is we have a cycling program for Parkinson's individuals. And when we first started it, we would have them sign their signature, write their name. And it's not really legible. But when they leave, they have this strong signature when they leave, because they have control of their muscles. That some of them come in wheelchairs and they walk out of class. Some of them come in struggling to speak, and when they leave, they go have lunch with their spouse because they can carry on a conversation and say things that they've been struggling to say. But also it supports the caregiver or the spouse, because they get to have their partner, their loved one, go into this program, and then they can go and work out or sit in the lobby and talk to friends, have a cup of coffee. And this program is just so meaningful. And I think it's not huge and large, like just general membership. But I always say, there's the story of the gentleman that was walking on the beach, and he was picking up starfish and he was throwing them back into the ocean. And this woman stopped him and she said, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Well, I'm saving the starfish." And he threw them back into the ocean. And she said, "But the beach has thousands of starfish. How are you going to make a difference?" And he said, "I'm making a difference for this one." And so we look at our programs that way too. If we can just help one person, it matters, right? It's a moment that matters. It's an experience that then converts into a memory that becomes a core memory and a core experience for that individual. And that's what it's all about. So those are just a couple of the specialty ones, but we have good measure meals where you can get healthy meals. We have cooking demonstrations that you can be a part of. We have our partnerships, as I keep bringing up, with the sports teams in Atlanta, and we continue to grow those. So there's a lot more than just the four walls of the Y, and we want to make sure that you can experience it all.
And you just received an award on behalf of our Y for a partnership with CareSource. Could you lift that up quickly for us?
Oh, I'd love to. It's the Heart of the Community Award, which is such an honor. We didn't know that we were even in the running. But through the partnership with CareSource, which is so wonderful that we're able to provide over 5,000 family memberships to individuals that have CareSource. And we don't just stop with the membership. We get them to safety around water. We get them enrolled in our sports programs. We get them in our day camp. But then we also partner with CareSource to go into the communities and have baby days at Walmart and have physicals that we do on site at our YMCAs for children that might not be able to get access to a doctor to have the physical that they need. We've had dentists come out, but CareSource has really, I want to lift up CareSource too. What a remarkable program to be able to serve 5,000 families.
Wow.
That's just tremendous. So thank you, Allison, for...
Absolutely. Well, it speaks to you, the legacy that you've built at the Y, Kristen. Just a tremendous impact that you've made and continue to make in your role as, you say, the best job at the Y.
I see why you feel that way.
It really is.
Truly.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, Kristen, we can be here all day asking you so many different questions and learning so much more from you. But this is the customary close of our show, where we get a chance to hear your story, your why story in your words. How did you first get connected to the why?
I was a college graduate and moved to Birmingham, Alabama. And I had so much time on my hands. So I had a full-time job at a women's hospital health center, but I had all this time on my hands. And so I went to the Y, and just so you guys know, I parachuted into the Y. I didn't learn to swim. I didn't play youth sports. I parachuted in.
I love it.
I knocked on the door and invited myself in. They didn't know I was coming.
Oh my God.
I'm the house guest that never went away.
Oh, wow.
But I went to the Birmingham downtown Y, and I said, I have all this time on my hands, and I want to give back. And they had just received an award to fitness test all of the Alabama Power employees. So for 40 hours a week, I volunteered my time and went to different Ys and actually did fitness testing on Alabama Power employees. And what a big investment from the power company there in the state at the time. And so I loved that work. And then I got married, and my husband moved us to the smallest town I've ever been in. And I mentioned it before. It's where Kirby Smart comes from, Bainbridge, Georgia. And I walked in and did the same thing there. I said, I've just moved here. And I said, it's the smallest place I've ever lived. And I just want to volunteer. I don't have a job quite yet. I'm not really quite sure what I'm going to be looking for. And they had an interim director at the time, and he said, well, what can you do? And I said, well, what do you need? He goes, we need somebody to teach group X. We need somebody to teach swim lessons. We need somebody to manage the wellness floor. And I'm like,
right.
I can do all of that.
Done. Yes.
Yes. And so in 2 weeks, I was the assistant director. And
nice.
I was able to start youth soccer. I started after school there. And then we had a small little house at the Y at the time. And I became pregnant, and we couldn't afford a nanny, which a lot of people did. And I didn't really know where I was going to find childcare. So I converted the house into a childcare center. I see your eyes lighting up knowing that I've been in early learning for a minute.
Right. Okay.
And so we opened a licensed daycare, and I had a place for my daughter to go. But again, talking about the Y being a community resource center, a place for health and wellness, and just how connected people are. On the day Lacey, my daughter, was born in Bainbridge, Georgia, every marquee where you could put letters in the entire city of Bainbridge had "It's a Girl, 7 pounds, 5 ounces."
Oh my goodness.
Amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Additionally,
incredible.
I was trying to get my daughter out of the nursery while I was in the hospital, and the nurses couldn't bring her because people from the community had gone in to hold her because everybody knows everybody, and they wanted it was the community baby that had been born, apparently. So it was a great introduction to the Y all the way around. And then, jump forward 34 years, and every day I have been blessed, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity. And I've been with this association for almost 32 years. Can't get rid of me.
I'm telling you. No, absolutely not.
No intention.
For sure.
Yeah.
I would say, if not one of the hardest working people I've ever had the pleasure of getting to work with.
Wow.
Just absolutely incredible. I'm really grateful for you, Kristen. Thank you for joining us today and telling your why
Yes,
story.
thank
I
you.
love your why story.
Yes, I wasn't
Thank
ready
you for
this
having
one.
me. Well, I think, to all the listeners out there, to the thousands and thousands of people out there listening to us, whether you're a Y member or not, I want
right.
you to know that the Y is for you. And you get to write your own Y story. And guess what?
Right.
Every story matters, and every story is so important to who you are and then who we are as a community. So please come to the Y. Let us really provide you an amazing experience. And I mean, I look on the call and I get the honor of spending time with you guys today, but working with you. And thank you for all that you do.
Well, you created
thank you,
FOMO on this
Kristen.
show. For those people that aren't Y members, they will be after this. And I will tell you, we're killing it. Like the numbers and how much we've come back since the pandemic, it's incredible.
Wow.
And so those of you who aren't Y members, you're missing out. You got to join.
Yeah.
Come to the Y.
You are.
Exactly.
Thank you for listening to the Y Podcast. To continue the conversation or to find your closest Y, please connect with us at ymcaatlanta.org and sign up for our newsletter, Healthy Together.